A great success.
We're we're in.
We made it.
Let's freaking go.
I need.
Oh, baby, part two. We made it back. We didn't fail after one episode.
Yeah, we actually did pretty good for our first episode.
Yeah, I mean, big shout out to everybody that listened because
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise it's just us talking into a video recording. That's just seems weird if nobody's gonna listen to it.
It's just out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we out here. We really doing this, man. We're not
Yeah.
in person this time, but we're here.
Yeah. We both
Yeah.
went out of town.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Memorial Day, man. We're out here living life.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that I had work off tomorrow and I was just like, hooray.
You're like score.
Yeah, I was like, I don't
Didn't
have to
didn't
go to.
realize it was a federal holiday.
Yeah, literally. Ty told me yesterday, he was like, yeah, me and my homies are going bowling for Memorial Day. I was like, when is that? He's like, Monday? I was like, oh,
Uh,
really? That's why I have work off?
khakis.
Precisely. Yeah, so
Oh man.
we're winning.
Yeah. Well, happy Memorial Day. Hopefully, people will give us another listen on their Memorial Day holiday this weekend.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And maybe we'll actually get it out on time this time.
Yeah. Yeah. Apologies for the tech difficulties. I think it took us like 6 hours and two flash drives in order to get that thing to work, but
Yeah,
we
so
did it.
the
Oh
funny
man,
thing
we're hoping.
is I just found it on my phone after the whole 6 hours and two flash
Oh.
drives.
Oh man. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in for real, and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll be getting this up on YouTube sometime soon once we figure out that that debacle because that was a whole other deal.
Yeah, that was not fun to do.
Yeah. But I
But
mean, honestly, the video quality was so bad that it may not even be worth it for the first episode. We may just put the audio up or something.
yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't even know if I have the recording anymore. It might
Oh,
be gone.
well, that's okay. If episode one isn't on YouTube, then you guys can check us out elsewhere if you want to get that Guardians 3 review. But man, I well, our goal today is not to be 2.5 hours like last time. So let's let's jump into this thing and welcome everybody back to another episode of Casual Genius Podcast. We got some interesting stuff that we're going to chat about today a little bit. We're going to talk a little about Lil Durk's new album, Almost Healed, and about the new Ben Affleck, Matt Damon movie, Air, which just came out a couple of weeks ago, in theaters and on Amazon Prime. So, man, let's jump into it. Let's jump into what's new.
Yeah. So I'm trying to find what were you even going to talk about? Oh, so the first one that you were saying was the new Flash trailer.
Yeah, you check that out?
Yeah, I just watched it right before we hopped on. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if it was the new trailer. I It might have been the exact same trailer twice that I just watched.
Yeah, it looked really similar. Like I think they used like half of the same
Oh,
shots, but there was one shot that looked interesting to me. There's a scene where it's Supergirl and she's flying up into the sky, right?
uh,
And she's carrying a guy like in her arms.
uh,
I don't know if you noticed that.
no.
Okay, the dude she's oh I just dropped my phone. She's carrying a dude shirtless and it looked like he had black hair.
Uh,
And I seriously I wonder it could be Barry Allen, like Ezra Miller's character, but I'm wondering if it's Henry Cavill. I because that's the whole Superman thing, right? When he's drained on power, if you get him up to the yellow sun, right, then he's gonna have his power back. So what if this whole James Gunn thing has just been an elaborate plot to hide Henry Cavill coming back as Superman? Like, I mean, I wouldn't think that, but it just happened with Andrew Garfield. It's happened like in Marvel time after time, and James
right.
Gunn's been around all of that. So it makes me wonder: is Henry Cavill actually Superman? And that's just a little shot of him. I don't know.
That would be crazy. You know how many people would be pissed off?
That'd be like the greatest Rick roll of all time, man.
No,
Seriously, like if Henry Cavill like went through all of this just for us to still get him as Superman, like all the firings, all this, that, and the other, just to have him come back as
no,
Superman.
literally. Yeah, that would be nuts. But other than that, like, because I didn't even really notice that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it just looked the same.
Yeah,
I'm still just as excited. Still got the same kind of worries that there are a couple too many superheroes, but nonetheless, I think the story of Flashpoint is cool. I I just hope they don't ruin it by having too many heroes in this movie.
right. Yeah,
But
I'm with you. I think it really looked like pretty much the same movie. I mean, nothing mind blowing that changed my mind. Like, oh, it's going to be great or it's going to be terrible, as
right.
opposed to what I already thought. But I do wonder about that scene. That was one that caught my eye, and that's why I wanted to talk about it because I was like, if he shows up, that's a big deal in DC.
Yeah, no, that would literally be crazy.
Yeah,
That'd be interesting. But yeah, so there's that. Another thing you wanted to talk about was the Little Mermaid.
yeah.
What
I
do you want to talk about that?
well, so it's just, I mean, I don't know if either of us are going to see that movie.
No.
I would venture not, unless like I don't know, something crazy would have to happen for me to be super interested in watching that. But I mostly am curious, like, what you think about all of the Disney remakes that they're doing, and a lot of the live action stuff. Because the Little Mermaid's like, I mean, at least for kids growing up, like that was a classic Disney movie. It's considered
Absolutely.
one of the classics. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, and from what I've heard, this remake, despite a lot of big budget and big production and stuff, is trash.
Yeah.
That's the consensus I've heard.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is trash. Like
Yeah.
I'm all cool for like a live action Disney movie
Mm-hmm.
if it makes sense. Like I wasn't even really all for the Lion King being live action because like that's a lot of CGI.
Mm-hmm.
It's animals that talk. That's the whole Disney movie is it's just a bunch of animals. So like
Right.
then like now we have Little Mermaid where half the characters are talking animals. So it's
Yeah.
like and if you've seen how they look terribly disturbing.
Yeah.
Flounder
It does.
and
It does
Sebastian
look a little
Crab look
scary.
stupid. Like straight up, they look dumb. And I'm not for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there are some that make sense. Like if you were to do like a Moana live action, I think that would be dope. Like
Yeah. And that's in the works right now, actually, from what
right.
I've heard. So
Yeah, that's one like that's a reason why I bring that one up. Like I think that
right.
one's a good idea to do. I think it's a cool it's a whole cool story. Like yeah, you still
Yeah.
have a couple like talking animals, really just like that crab dude, but other other than that like it's people so it makes sense to do live
Yeah.
action.
Sure.
They
I even think like a movie like Frozen. Like I know it's recent,
yeah.
but so is Moana. But like Frozen fits like what I feel like you could do really well with live action.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Disney's been getting really greedy lately, and I think that's another reason why like you see them pushing out so many. Well, I'm hoping they cut back, but like that's why I think they were pushing so many Marvel projects out. Like it was way too often when growing up, it was like one, maybe two a year, like that we would get, and you're just
Right.
building this whole thing. So now I feel like they're just getting too greedy because they know people will watch live action Disney because that's what we grew up on. So
Right.
I am
Yeah,
not a
for sure.
fan of
I
at
think
least Little Mermaid one.
yeah, I think that the problem is exactly what you're saying. I think they're just trying to make money off of the fact that these movies were huge when we were kids or our parents were kids.
Right.
And so like the youngest generation now that wants to go see kids movies is going to be going to these kinds of movies. So you get parents that want to go see the remake of what they saw growing up and the young kids who are like just interested in the first
Right.
place. So I mean if there was one live action movie I would want to see remade, it's definitely got to be Monsters Inc. Because can you imagine just a massive CGI James P. Sullivan? I think it'd be fantastic. and that's total sarcasm, but I mean that would terrorize like kids' nightmares to see that
Yeah.
movie in life.
No, that would be one that would be crazy.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a petition. I want to see live action Monsters Inc. Before my days are up.
I'm with that. I'll sign it. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm not surprised that it's doing trash. It was already
Yeah,
getting backlash like the moment like casting was coming out and production even started. Like there was already a lot of backlash on it.
right.
So,
I think with classics, it's so hard to do something well so far removed from it, and even in a
right,
sequel, like I think Lion King sequels are okay, Shrek sequels are good.
right,
Um, the Monsters University's adequate, it's fine, and was it Toy Story is has some classic sequels, but it's rare that you get that remake or that sequel that's as good or holds up even to the original.
right. Yeah, 100%. Like the most that I feel like you can do is you can just make it good. And even then, everybody's going to agree that like the original's a lot better. Like I
Right.
rarely hear like Aladdin, for example. I thought it was a good movie. Like I thought the live
Yeah.
action was fine. I think everybody played their role nicely. It was a good movie. I had a good time. But you're not beating out the classic Aladdin. There's no way.
Yeah. And people loved Will Smith's character, and I
Right.
thought he did well in it, but like still, like you're saying, comparing him to Robin Williams' performance of the genie is just
Yeah.
it's apples and oranges. And anyone that really says that they like the new one better, just I think the youthfulness shows because
Yeah. Yeah.
the classic
Absolutely.
Aladdin's by far better.
Yeah. 100%. But yeah, so that's how I feel about these live action movies. I just think they need to look at which ones are sensible
Yeah,
because
for sure.
then it'd be fine.
Mhm.
Like look at Beauty and the Beast. Like, yeah, the Beast would be like, whatever. But actually, I've never seen the live action Beauty and the Beast. I can't really say anything about that one, but I heard it was good.
Yeah, it was solid. I liked it. It was fine, but again, like I don't think it was as good as the original.
Right. Yeah. I just as long as it's sensible, by all means do it. But Little Mermaid did not make sense to me when
Yeah, I'm with you. I was a little surprised when that even got announced.
yeah. Stupid. Idiots.
Yeah,
Anyways.
and but I mean, our last movie topic that we talked about, I think it's our last one. We talked about Fantastic Four,
Yeah.
some of the fan casts, and some like rumors that we've heard about fan casts.
Yeah. So the one that I'm pissed off about is this whole new Reed Richards thing. I swear on everything,
Yeah,
if Adam Driver is Mr. Fantastic, I'm not watching it. I will not go see that. I hate him. I don't like him. He's true.
you don't want some good soup memes
No,
out of the movie.
no, I don't. He doesn't look like he fits the character at all, in my opinion. Like,
Yeah, it would take a crazy overhaul for me to think he looks like a good Reed Richards.
right. Like, yeah, I just think that's stupid. Like, I'm not somebody who's gonna come out and say like, "Oh, it should be John Krasinski." Like, he played that perfectly. I think he did a good job, but if he like, I wouldn't care if it was somebody else too. Like, I'm not rooting for John to be Mr. Fantastic. Like, but I think he'd do better than Adam
Sure.
Driver. Yeah, the moment I saw that post, because Marvel put it out saying like he was one of the front runners for it, and I'm not
Yeah,
for it. I'll write a hate letter to the headquarters.
yeah. It seems. I mean, I'm with you. I don't think I'm as big on the hate train as you are with Adam Driver. I think like in movies that I've seen him in, he's a adequate actor. I think he could pull off a lot of different roles, but I still think there's better candidates out there. Is really what it
Absolutely.
comes down to for me.
Yeah. Like I
But
don't even
I did see. No,
go
go
on.
ahead and finish your thought.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't know who else is even who has been like even looked at for Mr. Fantastic besides John and
Yeah,
Adam. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's honestly. I feel like at this point, and I know a couple weeks ago we did that pop culture roundup podcast.
Mhm.
Big shout out to Jonah over there, but
guy.
we talked about who we would cast. I think we both put the Fantastic Four in movies that we wanted to see made by Marvel in
Yeah.
the future. And honestly, like going through actors that I would want to see him play those characters, it was so hard because Marvel has used every freaking actor on the planet already. And half of them are in throwaway roles in like 10 minutes of one movie. Like it's freaking ridiculous the monopoly that the MCU has on so many actors.
Yeah.
So I don't know. They've kind of dug themselves into a hole that way. Like I think now you have people saying Jaden Smith is the front runner to play Miles Morales now, and
Yeah, that's dumb too.
yeah.
I
Have you?
wanna
I
see
mean, I've seen like three Jaden Smith movies, and the only good one was when he was like 5 years old playing Will Smith's son in The Pursuit of Happiness.
You didn't like the Karate Kid?
Not as much as Ralph Macchio's.
Yeah.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
Classic. Who would ever
Oh,
go back to Jersey? He's an
dude,
idiot.
the best freaking part of that movie though is when he's on the planes trying to speak Chinese to the dude, and the guy's like, "I'm from Brooklyn." That scene cracks me up. No end.
That's comedy.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, yeah, no Jaden Smith either.
Yeah, so we're out on Jaden Smith. And we're out on Adam Driver. Marvel, you got to do better with those ones.
Absolutely. The
What
one,
did you think of Margot Robbie
yeah,
as Sue Storm?
I actually like that pick. I think that's a cool idea to
Yeah.
explore. Like I've seen fan edits of her in like one of the Fantastic Four suits.
Hmm.
It looks very fitting.
Hmm.
I I would not be upset at all with her
Yeah.
playing that role.
I think she could do it really well. Like, I haven't seen a ton of Margot Robbie movies. I feel like I've seen the mainstream ones that everyone else has seen, but um, she feels like she has enough acting range to play that role pretty
Yeah,
well. And
absolutely.
I don't know what her situation with Harley Quinn is. Like, I feel like is that. I mean, I guess we'll find out after the Flash how much of that all is going to play out continuing.
Right.
Like I thought she did pretty good as Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think like she has the characteristics to play that range of like a superhero comic book character pretty well.
Right.
But
See that's where like you also have to figure out actors, I feel like, because it's not just, let's say Margot gets the part of Sue Storm. There's no way you're gonna convince me that her and Adam Driver are together. It's they don't know. Like
are you saying like chemistry wise, or you think Adam Driver's too unattractive to date Margot
oh
Robbie's character? Oh my gosh, shots fired at Adam Driver, but that's okay.
also, I don't know how he'd look with short hair. I've only seen him with the long hair.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to. Like he doesn't look like a Reed Richards, but I've also never seen him like clean shaven with short hair.
Right.
So
Yeah, and like maybe he could do a good job. Like I don't want to knock him completely. That just doesn't make me excited. Like yeah, I don't know. You keep
I what?
you keep freezing.
Yeah, so do you. So
Oh, okay.
hopefully this turns out okay. I don't know which one of us is going to be frozen, but I don't think either of us is saying anything that important. So I don't think our listeners are going to care that.
Probably not.
I think to sum up, what we're both saying is Adam Driver, no. Margot Robbie, yes.
Yeah.
Jaden Smith, no.
No.
And that's about as far as we've got.
Yeah. I haven't
Okay.
heard any news about like a casting for Johnny or the Thing.
Yeah, me either.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah. I the other thing I feel like Adam Driver too is not. He doesn't seem like such a young buck anymore. Like it feels like he's getting a little older. But I guess you don't have to be that young to play Rookie.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. When is I think that movie doesn't come out until like 2026. So,
Yeah, it's down the road. So
yeah,
I don't even think they're too necessarily worried about it right now.
yeah. And the amount of times I've heard like a fan movie announcement like that I've been super excited for, and then it doesn't ever get made.
Right.
Like I don't even know how high to get my hopes up right now until
Yeah,
they've filmed the whole thing.
right. I'm just excited for a Fantastic Four film, and I just hope
Yeah,
that it's good.
yeah. I think they're definitely a group that has needed a good superhero reboot for sure.
Right. Right.
So I mean, I feel like that rounds out kind of the movie news at least that we were talking about. But we did have a couple music topics we wanted to hit real quick.
Yeah.
Did you listen to any singles this week that came out? Any
Yeah.
artists?
Yeah. So I listened to the ones that you sent over. Um there was only one that I didn't like from your list, and that was Young Thug's My Wrist. Yeats and Young Thug's My Wrist. That
Yeah,
was stupid. That was a dumb song.
yeah. I'm not the biggest Yeet fan to begin with, and even Young Thug, I feel like I have to take him in doses, and it had to be a moment when I really like him,
Right.
and neither of them sounded very good on
No,
that
they
song.
all yeah, that track was a disaster. But
Yeah,
I will say that somebody out disastered them, and that's Kodak Black. He released a song, and that was a tragedy and a half.
which song did you listen to? Because he had a whole project come out, and I didn't even listen
Oh,
to it.
did it?
Yeah, I
That's
listened to the lead single off of it, and I said, I don't think this album's gonna be for me.
I listened to Gunsmoke Town.
Okay, I saw that was like the one that a bunch of people had been streaming so far.
Yeah, not good at all. He like tried to sing rap. He tried to do this melodic rap, and it sounded
Yeah,
terrible. Oh, it was a
it
hard
was.
listen.
Yeah, the lead single, I can't remember what it was called. It was like "No Love for a Thug" or something. I don't know.
Uh,
Uh, anyways, it was a lot like that too. And I'll be honest, there's Kodak Black that I think he sounds really good on. Like he's a really unique
yeah,
voice.
right.
But yeah, it was not a good single, and so I
No,
didn't even listen to the album.
yeah, no, I didn't know this was an album, nor will I listen to it because
Yeah.
I'm not huge on Kodak like that. But um, Juice 2 by Logic, I thoroughly enjoyed.
Mhm.
It felt like not old Logic like the Incredible True Story, but it was an older Logic vibe that I was getting, and I
Right.
really appreciated that. It's a shorter song, but I think it like with how long it is, it's a really good song in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he performs pretty well on it. The only thing that like held me back from really loving it is I feel like I've heard and honestly with even with his College Park album that just came out a little bit ago, I feel like I've heard better music from him continuously throughout his career. And like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
they're solid songs, but I feel like he's done better before and it's not quite up to the quality. But I will say to his credit, it does sound like he's enjoying the music he's making a lot
Yeah.
more, which makes it a lot better than some of what we got later in his career, where it didn't sound like it just kind of sounded like he was making music that he thought people wanted to hear
Mhm.
instead of making music he enjoyed. And I will say it is really nice and refreshing that the last couple of years we've finally gotten him back making music that he actually really enjoys.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, like, I want to hear another concept album from him, like The Incredible True Story. I want to
Yeah,
hear a
I agree.
story album from him because he
Yeah.
did that beautifully. So,
Yeah, and I feel like even when he did that, some artists when they do a great concept album like that has like a continuous storyline,
yeah,
the music falters a lot, and a lot of the Incredible True Story or Everybody or even Under Pressure kind of has or
yeah,
not Under Pressure, No Pressure has its moments like that, but like he continuously holds the music up to par throughout those albums, which
yeah,
I really like.
100%. But yeah, like I said, I liked it a lot. Like I downloaded
Mhm.
it. I enjoyed it, especially because like you're right. There's definitely songs that he has that are a lot better with the same kind of vibe.
Yeah,
But to hear a song like this now from him, like it's a good little um what's the word? It's a nice like change up to go
Yeah,
back to like what he put out before that I really
sure.
enjoy. So it was nice.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Another one that I listened to was I don't even know how to say this. Bossier City Kidnap Victims by Suicide Boys.
Is off their new EP. They've released, I can't remember, the Yin Yang tapes. That's what it's called. The like 4-part project that they've been
Yeah,
releasing.
like I'll probably listen to the whole thing. I forgot that they were doing that, but this
Yeah.
was one of the songs that popped up on New Music Daily.
Hmm.
It wasn't bad, but it didn't
I
feel like a song.
yeah, and I think I I am not the biggest Suicide Boys connoisseur. Like I've kind of gotten into some of their newer stuff 'cause I think they've evolved a lot as a group.
Right,
Um, but I do have some friends that are pretty in the know and like pretty heavily invested in the group. I think that they're really good.
right.
Um, and I guess what they're kind of going for with this album is, or I guess it's a 4-part EP
Uh,
project. I don't know what you want to categorize that as. I don't know why it wasn't just an album, but um, it it's I guess a style that was very popular early in the '90s and late '80s,
right.
where they kind of muffle down their vocals like that.
Yeah.
And I've really enjoyed where they've gone artistically and musically leading up to these 4 albums. And I feel like this was a big step back for them in terms of sound. Like, I just
Yeah.
don't think that muffled down vocal mumbly style is necessarily suiting for what I think they're good at. Like,
Yeah.
I think their vocal range has expanded drastically on Sing Me a Lullaby, their last album.
Yeah. Like it would have been really cool if that was like the intro where it was like muffled down
Right.
vocals with heavier instrumentals and then it like took a switch with a beat drop and then like they went in. I think it would have been
Yeah.
really cool, but I wasn't like it wasn't terrible. Like I'm not knocking it, but it just
Yeah.
not something I'm gonna listen to because it's nothing to me really. Respect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And they also had a track just come out on the Fast 10 soundtrack.
Mm,
And it was like a normal track without that kind of muffled down 90s style vocals.
yeah,
And it was really good. Like I really enjoyed the song on
yeah,
the soundtrack. And so I do hope that this isn't their soul style going forward. Like I wouldn't mind if they did an intro track like that or like an
right.
interlude or something like you're saying, but I do hope that they kind of get back to that evolution that they've been going through the last couple albums.
Agreed. Um, Another one that I have to disrespect heavily, and I don't care which fan base comes at me at this point because it's trash. If anybody tries to tell me that Karma by Taylor Swift and Ice Spice is good, you have zero good opinion about music and you need to seriously rethink a lot of life decisions. That was one of the worst songs I've ever heard in my life. It was a
Oh my
tragedy. It
god.
would I would rather listen to Gunsmoke Town another 5 times before ever like pushing play on Karma again. That was the worst little matchup I've ever seen put together. They
It
thought they
doesn't
had
feel
some.
like it fits at all.
It
I didn't even
doesn't.
listen to the song because it doesn't even feel like it fits.
I was scrolling through and I was driving while scrolling through, which don't drive and be on your phone, kids. But yeah, like I see Taylor Swift and Ice Spice. I said, there's no way this is a real thing. It's a real thing. It's terrible, not good.
Yeah.
Why it's out to the public beats me.
Right.
What are you doing, Taylor?
Yeah. I saw that it was coming out, and I mean, I listened to most of Midnight's when it came out, and honestly, I would say I'm a Taylor Swift fan. Like I love 1989. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
fantastic pop album. I love early Taylor Swift's country stuff. I think she did really well there.
Right.
Um, this latest evolution of like post. I mean, she went through some phases, and then like they had the kind of folklore thing that she did, which I was okay with. Like I understand the style, the
Yeah.
concept of it, but then this latest Midnight's sound, I just not like. I think the only song I downloaded from that album is the Snake Hips remix of Lavender Haze, and it's just because of the production. Like I just think Snake Hips remixed it really, really well, and it sounds like a great Snake Hips song and a terrible Taylor Swift song. So That's the only song I've downloaded from that album. I'm just not the biggest fan of it, and so
Yeah.
I didn't even want to listen to her and Ice Spice, who I also think is one of the most soulless vocalists to come out
Yes.
of the last year. Like
Yeah.
she has no soul in her vocals, man. It's just
Yeah.
terrible.
I stupid. Stupid. We're gonna probably get hate for that one, but at
Yeah,
this point,
probably.
I don't care. I've
Yeah,
already been controversial with Beyonce. I'll bring in Taylor to the situation too. I don't care.
dude. I wrote like an op-ed article about um Taylor Swift versus Kanye West and their musical impact, and
Yeah.
I had no idea how fiery so many people were about Taylor Swift. Like I knew she had a loyal fan following, but like I didn't even diss Taylor Swift. I was just like, I think Kanye's done this musically and like it's impacted the genres this way, whereas Taylor Swift hasn't really done this or this. And they were like, how can you even say that? Like Kanye is such a terrible person, and Taylor is like the golden child of America. She is the best thing to happen to American music. And I was like, Taylor Swift's a great person. Like I'm not arguing with you on the contents of their character. I just think like musically she hasn't done that much to change genres or like adapt the music world around her. And yeah, it's crazy. So
That's comedy. Oh, I hope this one blows up when I cut it and everything. That would be great. I want to
yeah,
respond to everyone.
yeah,
Um, anyways, um, another one that you sent that was different. I enjoyed definitely different was Happy People with ex ambassadors, Teddy Swims and Jack Ross.
yeah.
Solid song. I I want to say I downloaded it. It's a very different vibe than what I'm used to.
Right.
But overall as a song, it was nice.
Yeah, I really like that one too. I'll be honest, I think that was my favorite of the singles that I heard come out this week.
Yeah.
And I I think the direction, like you said, is different than a lot of what is in the mainstream right now.
Mhm.
My only criticism of the song is that it was super repetitive after like 2 minutes.
Right.
Like if the song was 2.5 minutes, it would have been golden. But the fact that it's almost 5 minutes long and it feels like the same thing over and over again just gets really repetitive. And so I
Yeah,
think it could have been a lot better shortened down a bit.
agreed. Um, another one that I found and actually enjoyed was One Republic came out with a song Runaway. Don't know if you heard it, but it like for what it is, it's solid. For what One Republic has done lately, it's different.
Mm,
And it I always like seeing people come back. So like One Republic being one of those bands that like I kind of grew up on in middle school
sure.
to like come up with something now is cool. Kind of the same thing with Happy People. It is a little repetitive, but the chorus is what makes the song. It's not great, it's not terrible. It's good,
Mhm.
but very repetitive. The chorus is really the only thing that it's got going on for it.
Gotcha.
Enjoyable.
How about that new Dua Lipa track?
Just about to bring that up. I didn't know that was a part of the Barbie movie.
Is it
I
really? I didn't either.
yeah,
I just
no,
saw
it
that it had come out.
yeah, I saw
Makes
it and
sense
then
now that I'm thinking about it.
right. I looked at my phone after like once it came on and the cover art is like the the Barbie logo and everything. So I was like, oh shoot, didn't even realize.
Obviously.
Yeah. But it was
We're
cool.
not very wise. If anybody's listening to this, we're not the sharpest tools in the shed.
Literally not. I mean, it's not a movie that looks good, so
So you're telling me you're seeing Oppenheimer opening weekend instead of Barbie?
I didn't that yes,
Same day they come out. So,
that's crazy. That's anyways.
so fans, you know where you can find Jaden at the movies on July, whatever, when those both come out.
Yeah. No, I saw a trailer for Barbie and it was out of pocket. And I was like, this is stupid. It's corny. I'm not watching this. This is stupid.
Yeah. Again, I don't know that the demographic they're appealing to is necessarily us, but
Yeah, probably not. I'd hope not.
I hope not, at least. For
But
sure.
nonetheless, I thought the song was fun. It was
Yeah.
like a good little party song. Like
Yeah.
nothing crazy, super summery kind of fun song. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Right. Like I feel like, and especially now that you bring up, and I'm realizing that it definitely is a Barbie movie soundtrack song. Like it's very fitting, I think.
Right.
But like you said, it's just I feel like it's a lot of what we've gotten from her. It's kind of up to par with what I feel like I've come to expect from her, kind of
Right.
upbeat, dancey kind of stuff. So I feel it was solid.
Right. But yeah, so those were kind of the singles of the week that like stood out, whether they were good or Taylor Swift
No.
and Ice Spice.
Right. Yeah.
um, Before we get into the album, do you want to go through this week's of what we've kind of been listening to?
Yeah. Before I just remembered, I
Yeah.
saw on Instagram this week. One of them I just saw today, and then the other one I saw a few days ago. So MGK, Machine
Mhm.
Gun Kelly, announced a new song and played a little snippet on Instagram,
Uh,
and it's a rap track. So I know you and I have both like more or less enjoyed some of his pop punk stuff. How do you feel about him going back to kind of his rap sound route?
so you heard my opinion on him before this whole pop punk thing and how I hated him immensely. Then after hearing his two projects, both Mainstream Sellout and Tickets to My Downfall, you sent me a what would you call that? It was listening throughout his like album, but he was telling like a story with it. It was one of his rap albums.
Was it Hotel Diablo?
Yeah, and he was kind of
His
like
rap album right before he went pop punk.
yeah, and it was like he was telling somebody a story about it, like, and then throughout this interview kind of thing, he would like a song would play. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I sent you the interview for Hotel Diablo that he did with Zane Lowe.
Yeah. So I gave that a chance, and now I have some of those songs
Yeah,
in the catalog. Like he's not as bad as I made him out to be, and that was
right.
me being a huge Eminem fan, and so him like starting a beef, I was just like, man, this dude's an idiot and trash.
Mm-hmm.
I I won't say that anymore, just because I actually do like his music. Um, I don't think he's the greatest rapper. Like I don't think
Sure.
he's huge when it comes to rap, but he's good. Like I'll
Yeah.
give him respect when respect is due. So to hear that, I'm not gonna say I'm excited. I'll listen to it and everything, but in no means am I excited for it.
Right. Yeah.
Mainly, sorry,
No,
go on.
go ahead, finish up.
Oh, mainly just because like I've liked hearing him play with live instruments. Like I like hearing him play the guitar and work in
Yeah.
that aspect. So I don't know how much of that he'll incorporate with this rap track. So
Right. Yeah. So I'm with you. Like I think that he's for sure an overhated hip hop artist.
right,
Um, but I would not at all say that he's underrated. Like I don't think
right,
he's by any stretch the best rapper or even necessarily a great rapper, though I do think he has some decent moments.
hmm,
But like listening to his recent freestyles, even and like he did a feature on the last ESTG record.
hmm,
Um, I think he for sure deserves some props at times when it comes to rap, and so
right,
I'm curious. Like, I guess that's the best way to describe my anticipation. It's just curious. Like, I
right.
really don't know what I'm gonna get out
Right. I think when he released the quarantine music,
of it.
that's what got me hyped. Like I thoroughly enjoyed those songs. And so if it's
Yeah,
anything in that manner, I think it could go very well.
right.
Um, but yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm more curious than anything. Not excited, not like, oh, this is gonna be trash. Just more so curious.
Yeah, yeah. So, and then in that same breath, before we jump into these reviews, I just saw today that um, not you, Jaden, but Jaden Hostler. JXDN is how it's stylized. Um, he just announced a new song. Let me see if I can pull up the title here real quick. Elevated Heartbreak is coming out. I don't remember what day. I think it's in a couple weeks. But
Okay. And that's a single?
um, he's, yeah, it's a single.
Okay.
I mean, he's a guy that I've really come to appreciate as a pop punk artist over the last few years. I think he for sure isn't necessarily the most musically talented, but being on Travis Barker's record label, I feel like helps him out a lot. And I
Right.
feel like he gets that production from there. And his vocals, oh, sorry, I don't know if my mic is making weird noises on your end, but um, he's he's for sure proven that he's capable of decent moments on his
Oh
albums,
yeah.
and I've really enjoyed a lot of his stuff.
Yeah, when we first saw him out of nowhere for Machine
Yeah.
Gun Opener, like
Mm-hmm.
he was, you could tell, at least me, like you could tell he was doing this because he loves this. Like you could tell he
Oh
had
yeah,
love for this music and he
for
thoroughly
sure.
enjoyed being on stage performing what he had.
Right.
And so that's kind of the energy I expect from his music. Because Tell Me About Tomorrow is honestly one of my favorite albums, like to date. I love that album so much. I think almost all the way through, it's a great track list. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I find myself listening to that very frequently. So
Yeah.
then you have a couple of his singles that came out after, and I'm not gonna say they were great. The only one that like I could say is that good along with his album was Sober. Another
Mm-hmm.
song that I thoroughly enjoy and will still listen to very frequently. Um, and then what
Mm-hmm.
was his more recent one? Is it called Friends with Benefits?
Yeah.
Yeah, that decent song. Like it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not like the others,
Right.
but it's good. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like kind of like you, I've come to love him and his sound. Um, and it's cool to see people closer to our age do things like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, for me, in an artist standpoint, like it gives me hope. Like okay, like I'm seeing people my age do it. I can do
Right.
it too. That so
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a cool little thing.
Yeah, and from what I understand about him is I think he got famous initially on TikTok and not
Yeah.
for his music. I think he just became a famous TikToker.
Oh
And
gosh.
then he at his show is when I found this out, but he said he was at a Juice World concert
Mhm.
when he realized he wanted to pursue music.
Wow.
And so like if you follow him on any social media now, he has totally thrown away that um hold on, he's totally thrown away that TikTok persona. Like he's
Yeah.
just a musician now, and I think he does it his blood, like you're
Yeah. It's I enjoyed. He's one
saying.
of my favorite live performers. Honestly, like even as an opener for MGK, like
Right.
dude killed it.
Yeah, he's got so much energy on the stage. It's super
Yeah.
fun to hear.
So I hope like the bigger he gets, because that's all I really see for his future is he'll only get bigger if he keeps this up. So I just kind of hope that the fame doesn't kind of take over and he becomes less of an entertainer and a performer. I hope he just
Right.
kind of like how J. Cole was when we saw him. I hope he keeps that kind of energy.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think he's got a lot of that in the tank. I just like you said, I hope he sticks with it
Yeah.
and continues to try to improve and not just like be content with kind of where he's at
Right.
because I think he's capable of that improvement. And oh my gosh, Mike's having a spaz. Hopefully this isn't that bad on recording. But yeah. So I mean, I'm excited to hear what he comes up with on this one.
Yeah. I'm always happy to hear when he has more music coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, let's jump into these tracks that we've been listening to this week. So for me, there was only a couple that I found myself really coming back to a lot.
Mhm.
The first one is a track called Thunderdome by Portugal the Man, featuring Black Thought, and it's a super cool alt. Um, I want to say, I guess it's kind of alt funk rock kind of vibe, and then
Right.
Black Thought, obviously from the Roots. delivers a rap feature on it, and it's just a super groovy, vibey song that I found myself listening to a lot. And I think
Nice.
it's really well executed. There's a ton of variety. Like I said, like you wouldn't think that Black Thought necessarily fits that kind of mold of that song or whatever with how kind of alt funk pop it is, but he sounds really good on it, I think, and the song is super enjoyable to listen to. The other one that I found myself listening to a lot was Pinot Noir by IDK off of his last album F65.
Mhm.
I listened to a good amount of F65, and this was the only track that I really thought he executed super well. There's a lot of really good ideas and concepts on the album that were just very half baked, it felt like. But this
Right.
one was a song that I found myself really enjoying and really vibing to. I think he put it together really, really well
Right.
with a couple of features on it. The last song that I've been coming back to a fair bit is off of the Fast 10 soundtrack,
Mhm.
and it's My City by 24 Golden and G Herbo, and it
Oh.
features Kane Brown, who's the country singer that does a lot of pop country. But on this, he actually delivers like a little bit of a rap feature,
Oh, wow.
and it, I will say, it does feel very slightly out of place. Like it feels odd, kind of hearing that collective of those three because they don't really seem like they would fit that well together. But it's the song's kind of at the edge of all of their limits, but in different directions. So like it's very rap for 24K Golden, but
Yeah.
it's or yeah, and then it's very like rap for Kane Brown,
Yeah.
but then it's like very pop and compared to what G Herbo's done in the past. So it's like it's
Oh,
cool because it's kind of at the edge of all of their limitations, and they all kind of reach that limit together to make it a pretty
super
good
cool.
song. So
Interesting.
I found myself coming back to that one a fair amount.
But I'll have to listen to two of those. You showed me the one with IDK. You showed me that one.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'll have to listen to that. That sounds interesting. Um,
what you listening to?
so what I've been coming back to is Bieber's Justice album. It's bro, it's actually so good. Like it's so good. I listen to them so frequently now. Like three off of oh, it's all the ones that I downloaded that I thoroughly enjoy. But I'll just say two of them, even though I want to say all of the ones. I'll only put two. I really like Off My Face, which is just him, no feature. Super good vocals. I like Bieber's music. Like it's just
Yeah,
good music. I don't know if we're still at that state where people are like, "Oh no, Bieber's for girls" or stuff like that. But I have zero shame in saying that I love this album.
yeah,
Um, the other one that I really like, and I listened to it on the way back up from Vegas, is "I Can't Be Myself" featuring Jaden Smith.
mm,
Um, super good song, very mellow. Jaden actually sounds really good on it. But yeah, so those are two songs off of that album that I've been listening to a lot. And oop, then another kind of project I've been listening to. It hasn't really been like singles. I've kind of been listening to these two albums. Is In Loving Memory by Black Bear. Um,
mm,
it for me, it's cool because it's not just him rapping. It's more of that pop punk feel, and I think Black Bear is a perfect artist to do that. So I was really happy when he made this project and when I actually listened to it. But two songs off of that one that I really like are I Don't Love Me and Dead Inside, which both are it's one and two off of the project. I don't know if it's a
mm.
if you consider it an
I think it's
album or
full
like
length. Yeah.
an EP, whatever it is. But those are the first two tracks. But I think they were very well executed. I think the lyrics are super vibey, and he still gives that same energy of upbeat instrumentals, but like sadder lyrics. That's just
Right.
who he is. But it's a vibe, and So yeah, those are probably like the four that I've been listening to the most this past week.
Super cool. Yeah, I feel like I've come back to both of those a fair amount. I really liked Lifetime off of Justice by JB and Unstable that he did with the Kid Leroy. I
Yeah.
think the Kid Leroy's feature on that for me is probably the highlight of the album, which may be a hot take to a Justin Bieber. I think he kills it on there. And then that Black Bear album for sure, super underrated. I
Oh
think.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But
Well, do
yeah.
you want to jump into this Lil Durk record?
Yeah.
You don't sound excited about that
Oh,
one,
I'm
bro.
fine.
Oh man.
Oh.
So I mean, to preface this, we both really, really liked All My Life with J.
Yeah.
Cole. That's
Yeah.
the only single off the album.
Right.
But I sense that we have a similar take on how the album
Yeah, it tricked me. All my life tricked me.
turned out.
I after hearing that, now I understand why he made that one the single and none of the other ones
Yeah. The other
because
one?
that's clickbait. Um, All My Life is the best song on the album.
Oh yeah.
I understand where I don't want to say it's trash, but it is. Like I understand like the whole idea with almost healed. There are times where like he's talking about that aspect where he's like trying to heal himself, like trying to be better, talking about his problems and what's going on in his life. But then you get these other songs that don't talk about that whatsoever. They're just kind of like songs with these random features that maybe okay, random to me. I don't listen to these people like hold on, let me pull some of these dudes up. Like
You don't listen to Rob 49 frequently
no, who is that? Who is a Rob 49? And who's
or
Chief
Chief
Wook?
Whoop.
I don't know these people. Uh,
Yeah.
I thought having Alicia Keys as like his therapist was a cool touch. I kind of wish she was put out more throughout the album if you're gonna use her.
Right.
Kind of like
Right.
Morgan Freeman on what was the album? What is that one called?
Savage Mode.
Yeah. Like
Mhm.
do something like that. Cause I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool thing to do. I thought, yeah, it's not a song with Alicia, which I thought would have been an interesting thing to do.
Right.
But even to just bring her in, I got kind of intrigued and a little excited when I first heard that. I was like, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
what are we gonna get out of this? But
For
then
sure.
that's the only thing we hear on. And yeah, like I said, it was very underwhelming, kind of going into it with excitement, especially because you have features in Future, 21 Savage, Kodak, Juice, and Morgan Wallen, which you'd hear those people and you're like, oh, okay, like at least
Big
those songs
names.
are gonna be good, right? No,
Yeah.
no. The only good
Right.
song beside, in my opinion, besides All My Life, the only other one I downloaded was Stand By Me with Morgan Wallen. And it was
Yeah.
because of Morgan Wallen. I didn't download it for Lil Durk. Morgan killed that song.
Yeah.
I was disappointed again with with and I know I'll get hate for this because Juice World fans are also on that super high level of love for
Right.
Juice. It
Yep.
wasn't it wasn't a good song. Like it until Juice World comes back to life, I doubt that there will be good songs from Juice World's team just because it doesn't feel like the same quality of music as we got when he was here. So that's one of my opinions. Maybe that's a hot take to a lot of other people, but it feels necessary to say. Um,
Yeah.
I don't
No,
know what I was expecting from Kodak, but that song was trash.
no, I will, I think there's two things you said that are very poignant about the album. I think the best way to describe this album is clickbait.
Yeah,
Like All My Life, maybe one of the best songs I've heard come out this year. Like,
oh
no lie.
yeah,
Both of them are fantastic on.
absolutely.
Even the Morgan Wallen song, Stand By Me, is a great song. You look at this track list with those names, like you're saying, the whole thing feels like clickbait. Like going into what you'd expect of this quality of an album with that quality of a single, you'd think it's going to be fantastic.
Right.
And underwhelming, the second thing that you said, is the best way that I felt like to describe this thing. I feel like, and this is what I was saying last episode about Lil Durk, is I've heard greatness from him,
Mhm.
but I've not heard consistent greatness from him. I think that is where he severely lacks. And there's moments throughout the album where he is doing really well vocally. Like vocally, he sounds good. The bars are pretty good. And then literally in the next song or even in the next verse or even in the next line, it just falls flat on its
Right.
face and it fails to live up to whatever he was just doing before. And so I'm with you. I think incorporating Alicia Keys in a bigger role, like throughout that album, kind of like Morgan Freeman did with Metro Boomin or with 21 Savage, or even what Jim Carrey did on the Weeknd's last record. I
Right.
think that was a really cool idea that he didn't necessarily utilize to its full potential. And I think, I mean, this album is 21 songs and
Mhm.
57 minutes long.
Right.
So I guess it's 20 songs if you don't count that intro with Alicia Keys. But I think he says a whole lot of not very much throughout the album. Like the track with 21 Savage, I mean, with J. Cole, which is, I think it's the second real song on the album, opens up with this
Yeah.
idea. Like J. Cole says when he's starting out, like, Durkio, he told me he's been on some positive stuff. Like, and the title almost feels like it's alluding to all this trauma and this pain. And even Alicia Keys' intro alludes to all of that.
Right.
And like working through that. And then like 5 tracks later, he's like dissing other rappers who cry when their homie gets shot. Like it
Yeah.
feels so out of place. And it feels like, I don't know. I don't know if it lacks maturity, if that's what I'm wanting to say, but it feels very out of place throughout the album. Like there's some of those mellow songs where it's like working through your pain, working through stuff that's going on, losing your friends, going through all this pain or trauma or whatever, and overcoming it to get to a better spot. And then the next song is like, I don't know, even the Future song, which I didn't even mind. Like I thought it was decent. He's like they're just talking about how much jewelry they have. I'm like, is that really the way you work through your trauma? Like you're just
Right.
buying diamonds? Is that the best way to cope? I feel like everybody says the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate because and I'm like, I'm very serious. Like, because of all my life, not even because of J. Cole. Like, Lil Durk really did do a solid job on that song, too.
Right.
I was very prepared to put this in like my top three of the year.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very, very prepared and very, very accepting about that. And then
Yeah.
when I had a therapy session, I was like, this is it. Like, this is a cool way to
Agree.
start this album. And then you get to Pele Coat, and I'm like,
I'm
uh,
like, okay, maybe this is one miss. Like
right, yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't fit the vibe. Maybe he's gonna come back with something like
right,
All My Life next. I know we're gonna
yeah,
get this
yeah. And I wish I didn't skip that after listening to the whole thing because maybe then I would have enjoyed the album a little bit. But no, I already heard it, so I skipped it. And then yeah, then it's like 3 songs with him and then this Chief Wook Wook dude, and I'm like, okay, these aren't very good. And then it has Future, and I didn't like it. I'm not huge on Future though. Sometimes he's good. I'm not huge on him. But then you got 2 more songs where it's like just kind of whatever in sad songs and before fair, Vajar. I don't even know how to say that word. And then I was I was excited for 21 Savage because I feel like lately he's been solid on his features and like yeah, that song sucked. Yeah, this just I
It's
was very
frustrating.
yeah, because I wanted it to be so good and it had the potential to do so. You have the
Right.
big names. It's and this is a huge for some reason, this kind of topic has been huge for every artist. I feel like I've been
Yeah.
hearing these healing projects for the last couple months now. You hear it in 12 Karat Toothache. You hear it in Big Morales and Big Steppers. You hear it in Jackman a little bit too. Like, so it's a very big
Yeah,
topic. And I feel like even in Jackman, even though that's like we both agree that that album's not very good, I still feel like all three of those albums are way better than what this is now. Like this
I
could have
agree.
been on a level with them, but fell flat on its face.
Yeah.
So
I
it's
feel like
very
there
disappointing.
was so many moments on the album. Like, I mean, we kind of talked about this already, but like even Big Dog, like that with the song with Chief Whoop that you were talking about. I don't know if
Uh,
that's how you say it, but we're just
I
gonna
don't
pretend.
either.
But when I heard the intro and the instrumental, I was like, oh, like he might be going for some like Yeezus kind of sound
Right.
here, like with that kind of stuff. And then like the song was just booty. Like it was so bad.
Yeah.
Both of them just failed to execute on everything.
Bro, okay, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's that song. I don't know if you followed along with the lyrics. I tried to, but you know how they go back and forth?
Yeah,
It wasn't on beat. They were off. Like,
dude. Yeah, honestly, that is one of the like that may be the biggest criticism I have technically of Lil Durk's music is he I don't know what he's trying to do. Like half of the album sounds like he's trying to do this emo rap Juice World XXX Tentacion sound, and then the other half is just him scream rapping like he's I don't know trying to be 2016 Eminem, and then the other half is like him singing this falsetto-y stuff, like he's like, ah, and then it like drops into this massively deep bass with no like this massively deep vocal switch into this such low vocal tone. He's just like, and like he's like just jumping back and forth between those two extremes. And I'm like, this doesn't sound good. Like if you're gonna try to sing, at least like I don't mind hitting high notes and hitting low notes, but like
right.
have some flow to it. It's just like super up high and then it just drops to the floor like the lowest vocal tone you can go to, and it has nothing to do with like instrumental or any beat switch or anything. He just changes it out of nowhere.
Yeah. I think if he would have built an album around the vibe and idea of All My Life, it would have been an instant hit.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I think with you, the only song that I actually kept was the Morgan Wallen track.
yeah.
And honestly, that and All My Life, for the most part, don't sound like they fit on the album.
Mm-mm.
Like
No, they
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 don't
sound
match the
very
tone
out
of
of
the rest of the
pocket.
album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. I'm just yeah, I'm very disappointed because I listened to it. I listened to some of it yesterday when I was telling you,
Mhm.
and then I listened to a majority of it today.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the only thing I can keep saying is just I was super disappointed because he sounds so
Yeah.
good on All My Life. Like even with him
Right.
singing along with the chorus, like All My Life, da, 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 da. Like those were
Yeah.
good flows. It was good. Like yeah, it was auto tuned, but even the auto tune sounded good. It didn't sound
Yeah.
over auto tuned, under. It sounded good.
Right.
Should have kept that kind of a style because you do the same thing with Morgan Wallen. You have that kind of vibe.
Right.
So yeah, yeah, that album was upsetting.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how much more I have to say about it. I feel like we
That's
covered a ton of it, but I will say I what was most disappointing to me is even within songs, I felt like there was moments where I was like wanting to get into the song, like really
yeah,
wanting to enjoy the song. Like I was like, okay, this is building to something. This is going pretty
yep,
well. And then as soon as I think that, he switches it into something terrible. And I was
yep,
like, it was such a frustrating listen because I like you. I think I wanted also to say that this was going to be his best project, that this was going to be something that I would put in my top albums of the year, and it just I felt like it fell so hard compared to what I expected.
yeah. I literally felt the exact same way today. I was at a park. I just like was waiting for my homie to text me,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember which. It was close to the end of the album, and I was like, dude, I gotta like one of these songs. Like maybe I'm doing too much and I'm being too critical. Let me like. So I kind of
Yeah,
started bobbing my head to the beat, trying to get myself into it, and I'm just like, no, and I just stop it. yeah, it yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was frustrating. I think that's where we're both at with it. But what would you say you'd give this album out of 10?
A 4,
Really? I would say
maybe 5, because even though the project sucked, or maybe it's just not my type of music. I don't know. But the two tracks that I did enjoy, I really enjoyed. And then
yeah,
I thought the idea of bringing Alicia Keys on was a really good idea. Now, you could have implemented it more, but even just having her like as that intro is a cool idea. Like I'm not knocking
right.
it whatsoever. The production was solid on a good majority. I'll give him that too. Not a whole lot of different experimental. It was pretty much the same through a lot of them, but even the beats were good, but he just did not execute lyrically, vocally, song wise, concept wise, topic wise.
Yeah.
So I think the highest I would go is like a 5.
Yeah, I would agree with a lot of what you said. I do think that the production of the album is adequate, to say the least. Like, I've heard far worse produced albums than this
Absolutely.
album. And this album does have good moments,
Mhm.
and obviously we've covered that it doesn't have its good moments, but I think I would give it, if if we're just like basing this on a scale of 10 and it's a spectrum, and like 5 is the threshold where you say you enjoy it, I would say it's right around that. I think I would say a 5, maybe a 5.5, because I do have a lot of respect for what Lil Durk is doing in terms of that he, as far as vocal rappers go, he's one of the few vocal rappers who also incorporates good lyrics
Yeah.
in a lot of his work. And like you can tell that lyricism is important to him and what he's talking about, and storytelling and all of those kinds of things. Like he values the traits that lyrical rappers value, but he also values the innovation and soundscape of vocal rap and kind of cloud rap and those kinds of things. And
Right.
so I would say, just based on that, I would maybe give it a 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Makes sense. All right. So the last thing that we got to talk about is the new movie that came out a couple weeks ago, something like
I think it
that.
was 2 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, Air, the biopic of the Nike shoe and trying to get Jordan and where they came from and everything. What are your thoughts on this movie?
Dude, I'll be honest, I was super impressed with it. Like like for real. I think as far as like it's I know the movie world now is so much about the streaming platforms, and there's been so many just HBO releases or Amazon releases or Netflix releases, but realistically, I'm trying to think of another um like streaming platform production that was better than this movie. And
Yeah,
I'm having a hard time thinking of one because I thought it was really good. I mean, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon obviously are capable and talented filmmakers and actors, and Viola Davis does a great job playing Jordan's mother in the movie. But I thought it was really cool and a really interesting view of the story, because it's not really about Michael Jordan at all. Like it is in that they're trying to get him to sign, right? But it's all about Sonny, who's Matt Damon's character, that is a marketing guy for Nike, and Phil Knight, Ben Affleck's character, and them trying to get the Jordans on board to come sign with Nike when he gets drafted. And it's not like I think Michael Jordan says 3 words in the movie, and it's on the phone. Like you don't even see him at all in the movie.
yeah, like it does not show his face. Like the most it does is like show him walking behind his mom and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. But honestly, I really liked that because I think if you wanted to make a really interesting movie about Jordan, you could. The man's life was interesting enough that you could make a good biopic about him, and I'm sure at some point we'll get one.
Right.
Like we already had the Last Dance docu series, which everybody loved and was really good. But I thought it was really cool to see the story from other people's perspectives.
Mhm.
And like I don't know. The characters, they played him so well. I don't know that I've ever seen Ben Affleck play such a quirky, weird character. Like that
Yeah.
Phil Knight guy. I've read some of Phil Knight's autobiography, and he's kind of like an odd soul like that. And they show the picture at the end of like Phil Knight actually sitting with his feet up on the desk with no shoes on. And he just seems like that kind of quirky, weird granola dude. And Ben Affleck plays him so well. Like I don't
Yeah.
know that I have seen him play a role like that, but it was really well executed.
Right. What would you rate it out of 10?
I'm trying to think. So what did we give Guardians? I think I gave it a 7.5.
Yeah, you gave it a 7.5. I gave it an 8.
Okay. I would give I would give this movie an 8.
That's valid.
Yeah. How about you? What did you think of it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it because kind of like
Yeah.
what I'm saying, it's not a Michael Jordan story. It's
Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to get him, but it's man, how are we gonna lock down and actually like get him on board when all of these other shoe companies are way better than us in every aspect?
Yeah.
Matt Damon might be one of my favorite actors, like hands down. Granted, I don't know very many actors, so it's good that his name is easy to remember. Uh,
Right.
but I love Matt Damon. I think with a lot of his lines, they were very like inspirational to like a lot of people. Like it didn't even
Oh
just have
yeah.
to be if you're like a sneakerhead or an athlete. No, just like especially when they were spoilers if you haven't seen it or anything, but like when they're in that interview, trying to close, well, not close, but trying to like persuade, and he just kind of throws everything out of the room and just goes in to like tell him the absolute truth. I thought it was super cool to like throw in a lot of Michael's like background because that's exactly what happened and we see that in real life. Um,
Hmm.
but I just thought it was super cool how like they didn't care about like the regulations of the NBA at this point. They were like, we will do anything to get this player because we know that if we get this person, then the company will be bigger than we could have ever imagined. And even take
Yeah.
a risk on giving Jordan that equity and that revenue off of every single shoe that's sold with his name on it, taking that kind of a risk was huge. Because
Yeah.
like at the end of the movie when Phil Knight, he's like, man, it's gonna be crazy because now that we did this, every player is gonna want to do something like that. And yeah, it's true. Like we
That's
see
the time we live in now.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I think it was a really cool movie. It wasn't like crazy in plot. It wasn't anything we weren't expecting. We're living past that time. We know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But
We
it
know the Jordan 1 exists.
right, yeah. Like if you were shocked at any point in that movie, you're an idiot, respectfully.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it was just cool to see the whole background of Nike. Because me personally, I didn't know that they were known for running shoes. I didn't know that's how they kind of like started out, that they were on the brink of not doing basketball at all. So to
Yeah.
like that is nuts.
Right. And I mean, like personally, I knew that Nike was more like started out as more of a running shoe just from reading Phil Knight's autobiography, like I said. But I was also very surprised. Like I had no idea that Nike was so far behind in the basketball shoe world because obviously everybody wore Converse, for a long time in the NBA, from Bill Russell to Bird and Magic and all those guys.
Right.
And I mean, we know Adidas is big still. Like a lot of guys sign with Adidas now, and then you've got your Under Armour guys and whoever else now that's signing with everybody else. But I thought that like once Nike as a company made it big, which is like they've already made it big in the movie as a shoe
Yeah.
company, but I thought once they had made that point that they were the big shoe company in the NBA.
Yeah.
But I mean that whole plot line revolutionized the shoe world. Like they
Yeah.
got Charles Barkley after
Mhm.
Jordan signed, and I mean now they have like I would bet that more than 2/3 of the NBA wears Nike shoes now,
Absolutely.
regardless of whether they have a shoe deal or not. They
Yeah.
probably wear Nike.
And you have what, two of the greatest players of all times in Jordan and LeBron on lifetime deals. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
mean, you got three if you count Kobe's.
right. Did they end up signing that? Like, is it
I
lifetime?
think Vanessa signed a lifetime
Okay.
deal from
Okay.
what I heard. But
Well, then, yeah, even then,
yeah.
for like, yeah. So to see them go from the last person you'd want to sign with and like a running shoe company into the biggest shoe company we have today is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about how I mean it did revolutionize the sneaker game. Like
Yeah.
nobody had their own shoe. No, I loved what meant when Matt Damon told Viola Davis, who plays Jordan's mom, to ask Converse how they're going to make him stand
Yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
they basically said, well, you're going to be mentioned with the same names of the greats that wear our shoe. So
Right.
meaning like he's nothing special. Like he's just going to
Right.
be like every other Converse guy. And I think, I mean, granted, like we didn't grow up in this time. We didn't grow up in the 80s or 90s, but like my dad, like our parent, a lot like our parents did. My dad was a kid and grew
Yeah.
up when Jordan was getting drafted, and he said that his favorite Christmas growing up was the year that he got a pair of the Jordan ones,
Oh
like when they
yeah.
came out. He was like he remembers back, and he's like, that was for sure my favorite Christmas, just because of what the sneaker meant and what like like all those commercials, be like Mike, like how everybody wanted the shoe because it made you feel like Michael Jordan. There's that. I
Right.
mean, there's even a Macklemore song about it, Wings, off of his
Yeah.
Heist album, where he's like, everybody wanted the Jordans to be like Mike. Like that's it became so much more than just like a basketball shoe or
Really.
like
Yeah.
a performance shoe. It was like you became something, like you wanted to become something bigger because of it.
Right. One of my favorite lines from the movie was well, okay, I don't know who the other character, what his name was. The dude with the long hair.
Mm-hmm.
So both when he and Matt were saying like it's not what like it's not like a shoe's a shoe until somebody steps into it, and that's what makes
Right.
the shoe is like you. So did he like obviously that's more gonna be audience to athletes, and rightfully so. It's a basketball shoe, like that's what it's meant for. But even just hearing
Sure.
that's a super cool thing to think about. Like it really does bring meaning into something that a lot of people would say is like in just some inanimate object. So
Yeah.
it's things like that that are like cool to see and like will hit home for me for most of the time because it's like
Yeah.
right, like that's 100% true. Like it's not something that's just on your feet. It's not just like another clothing thing for a lot of people. It's like this makes me who I want to be.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for sure. I think I mean, it's a super, um, what I liked about it is how engaging the movie was and how interesting it was to follow for what could very easily be a very boring storyline.
yeah,
Like, there's no action in it. There's some comedy, but there's no like, I mean, I guess there's drama, but it's not like suspenseful per se. Because,
yeah,
like you said, we know what's going to happen. We all know the Jordan shoe line was a success, and that Air Jordan is one of the biggest sports brands in the world now.
yeah,
But we like watching the movie, it was engaging the whole time. Like I was following it, and like it never really made me lose interest throughout the runtime.
yeah. I think it was so I would agree with you. I would put that movie at an 8. Um, I just think it was very well executed. I think the story was great. And to think that this was just another streaming platform's movie, go in
Right.
theaters and be that good is remarkable. Um, and so right now, just because I can't think of very many movies I've even seen this year or have like came out this year, but like as of right now, that's probably my front runner of movie of the year would be that.
I would agree. I'd have to look back to
Right.
like confirm that, but I would agree. It's for sure up there for me. It was just, it was such a, I guess, different movie than what I feel like I've become accustomed to seeing. Like,
Right.
I know we talked about Oppenheimer last week and kind of how we're looking forward to that because it's such a different style of biopic.
Yeah.
And I feel like this was similar. Like it wasn't just a famous person's story, but it was like, I don't know, there was so much that had to come together to get that to work.
Right.
And there's so much of the story that I feel like we as the public didn't fully know or at least fully appreciate before that.
Right.
Even when they're saying, right, I think one of the last lines of the movie is when Ben Affleck and Matt Damon are talking about the deal that they just made
Mm.
and how Jordan's going to get equity in the deal, which was unheard of at the time. And they were saying, well, if it flops, what's the worst that can happen? Like, what's the most anyone's sold in basketball
Yeah,
shoes
it's
in a
like
year? $3 million
$3 million.
dollars. And then it says like the next line is like, in its first year, the Jordan 1 sold $162 million in
Yeah.
revenue, like $160 million more than had ever been sold on a basketball shoe in
Literally.
history in its first year.
Yeah.
Like it was so cool to just, I mean, it's inspirational, like to watch that and to see it all happen. It was super cool to see the principles of Nike, the company, like kind of shown throughout the movie on
Yeah.
their business and like how they attack that. And especially when Ben Affleck kind of backs Matt Damon at the end after he kind of feels throughout the movie like this CEO that isn't really signing off and agreeing on it. And
Right.
he's kind of holding back because he doesn't want to upset the board of directors. But then he backs him and like, this company was built on taking risks and that's what we're going to do right now. And
Yeah.
realistically, I mean, you could argue a few things, but that may have been the best business decision that Nike ever made, if not one of the best business decisions a sports company's ever made.
Oh, absolutely. Like, and I think that turning point wasn't even when he like went on, how he's like, oh, like what made you change your mind? Like, oh, I went on a run. No, it was
Mm-hmm.
like you could tell the moment he saw Matt putting in that work, like realizing, oh, this dude just stayed like the entire week. Like he has not left this office for the entire weekend just to
Yeah.
collect points, like to get this dude, like, okay, you know what? Like, I'm with it. And then he obviously like furthers that and he's the one that doubles down after Matt's like, man, like the company will not do like we lost. There's no way
Yeah.
they're gonna approve him getting revenue. Like you could just see, like obviously you see the disappointment in his face,
Yeah. He's just totally deflated.
like done, like defeated to like the bottom. And so to
Yeah.
see Phil Knight just be like, you know what? Like we've already gone this far to try to get this dude. Just do it. Like finish it off. Go close that deal. So yeah, that was super cool to see. I liked that a lot.
Right. Yeah. I felt like the movie just had so much, um, in terms of what the substance of it was. Like it had so much heart, it had so much intensity for a movie that doesn't have any action in it. Like it was super intense and
Yeah.
like it had some super funny comedic relief and
Yeah.
one-liners throughout the film. Um, it was like inspiring. Like I said, it was just I've loved the whole story of it and the idea of it. And I'm a big Matt Damon fan like you are, and I've liked a lot of what Ben Affleck's done too. But I felt like this was such a good return to form for both of them
Mm.
in their movie careers because I mean, they made it big together out of Boston when they made Good Will Hunting with
Mm.
Robin Williams. Like that's what made them famous and they won all those independent film awards for it. And they both found a ton of success doing other stuff on their own and they've kind of worked together throughout a lot of stuff. But the past few years, like there's been some Ben Affleck film releases that I haven't loved. His Batman was okay, but it
Right.
felt like a little bit of a weird fit. Even Matt Damon's taken a step back in some of the movies that he's done recently. But it was super cool to see them do a film that I felt like, I guess in concept, was similar in a way to Good Will Hunting, which they did, which kind of focuses on people and their life story and like that kind of plot line instead of like espionage or superheroes or action films. And like I felt like that was their wheelhouse in making that. I don't want to say it's a biopic because it focuses on so many people, but I guess it's like a biographical story of all of them, of the company. And it was really cool to hear them all or to see them perform that so well and
Right.
have it come together as good as it did to the point where it's no wonder that they felt so confident that they're like, we need to put this out in theaters too, and not just on Amazon, because it
Yeah.
was totally worth it.
Oh yeah. And yeah, like I feel like both Matt and Ben, I feel like they really embodied these characters. I didn't
Yeah.
feel like, oh, I'm watching Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. No, like I was very immersed into this movie, like with each character. I think the acting was phenomenal. Even though
Hmm.
it's not something that you would expect, like, oh, it needs good acting, but it was great. Like everybody was on point. And it's funny because all of these are real people. Like that's why I
Yeah.
find it funny that they can like really be these characters because they're not just characters; they're actual people that actually did this. So to see them really
Yeah.
get into like each character was super super cool to see. Um, I even liked the like towards the beginning when they're just in the meeting room and you can just see Matt Damon kind of like pissed off at all these dudes like, bro, what are you even saying? Like, you only like him because he's the sixth pick, and I guess that's okay.
You don't watch basketball like we
Yeah,
have no
like,
idea what you're
just
talking about.
imagine everyone like, have you seen him play? Yeah, I've seen him play. What do you like about his game? Well, have you ever seen him play? Yeah, he's a great court vision dude. He had 33 assists last year. It's like, all
He's like,
right.
he made the final four, and Matt Damon's like, so did 40 other people.
Yeah, I liked that. It was all good. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
Honestly, I felt like the cast was weirdly diverse in terms of the actors that were playing who they were playing. Like
yeah,
Chris Tucker, his character in he Chris Tucker doesn't feel like an actor that I'd expect to be in a Matt Damon Ben Affleck movie. And same
right.
with Marlon Wayans. Like his role's pretty minimal in it, but even him, like it felt weird that when I saw the cast listing that they would be in it with Viola Davis as
Yeah,
Jordan's mother, and yet they worked so well together. Like the
yeah,
chemistry on set must have been fantastic because, like you said, they embody the characters, and it's not like you're watching any of these actors individually, like Ben Affleck play Phil Knight or the guy who plays Batman play Phil Knight. Like you just
right.
feel like you're watching a movie about Phil Knight.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, solid movie all around. And like I said, I can't remember most movies that came out that actually stood out besides Guardians 3, but then again, that came out like a month ago. So
It's
this
fresh.
right. So this one I would definitely put as my favorite movie of the year so far, which is crazy because I really enjoyed Guardians 3, but I feel like Marvel movies never win anything. So
Well, I feel like that's saying a lot because you are like for a long time. I feel like you've been a super diehard Marvel guy. Like that's been your favorite kind of
yeah.
film company.
Yeah, and it's still it is in a sense. Obviously, they haven't been good lately,
Right.
but something that you told me stuck with me the entire time is your opinion sucks because all you watch is Marvel. So I was like, so yeah, you're probably right.
Hey, it's not a knock against Marvel. The point of that was just to say you got to expand what you're watching in terms of
No,
movies.
I know, and so that's why I have been. That's why I was so down to like watch all of the Christopher Nolan movies and yeah, and I mean, I was gonna see this movie like regardless, and
Yeah,
it's not like I'm trying to prove a point for myself in anything like that. I thoroughly loved this movie, and I would have had the same opinion nonetheless. But yeah, I am trying to watch these other films and like not expect what I usually watch in Marvel.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I think I guess this kind of like maybe is a good segue into wrapping up the episode, but we I feel like in our society today we have come to expect so much uniformity from entertainment. Like, who is everybody who's popping in music right now? It's all of these pop rap guys. Like,
Right.
pop rap music is for sure the main genre. Drake, Post Malone, all of those guys are who the music industry is carrying right now. Even JB and Ed Sheeran like are names that they incorporate both rap style and pop into their songs. And
Right.
like what is every movie almost trying to be right now? Like they're all trying to be these Marvel style action films.
Right.
And it is really cool to see something diverse in terms of not being what everything else is right now, like this movie Air, be so well done and even being so well received because I could realistically see a lot of people saying like it's a boring film. It's, there's no action, there's
Right.
no romance, there's no, you know,
It's a
super
very
out there
straightforward
storyline.
movie.
Right. And it's and
Yeah.
it's like you said, we all know what the outcome's gonna be.
Yeah.
And yet it's a very well done and really enjoyable movie throughout, in spite of that fact that you know what's gonna happen and that the plot line isn't something super out there.
Right. Yeah. I agree. I think that is a good way to wrap it
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
up.
we were still on here for quite a while. I think we were shorter
Right.
than last
Oh,
time.
absolutely. Yes, we were. Like by like 40 minutes or so.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect. Well, barring some technical difficulties, hopefully we get this out on Memorial Day for anybody that checks it out, and hopefully you enjoyed our takes. And if you listened to Lil Durk, we're sorry. And if you also enjoyed Air, let us know and let us know what else you want us to talk about. But yeah, I think I'd definitely recommend Air, but not
I
Almost
love
Healed
it.
by Lil Durk.
Yeah. Go listen on wherever you get your podcasts at. And then if you want to follow along, we've been posting some clips lately out on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube shorts. We're gonna try to get this one actually out on YouTube because like I said, I think I deleted the first one already to save storage and yeah. So we're gonna try to get that out. Hopefully it comes out on Memorial Day.
Yeah, we'll catch y'all next week.
Have a good one, y'all.